I'm in Philadelphia with my mom. So we had snow and
Hello,
rain.
hello, everyone. Welcome to day number 652 of the Daily Antidote of Song. Can you believe it?
Oh my
652 days
God.
of
Wow.
singing together. I am coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, the home place, birthplace of Dr. Martin Luther King, whose legacy we are celebrating this week. And I'm very excited to sing today with Dr. Kim Harris. But before we introduce her, I want to say hello to every single person that is here in the room. Thank you so much. Oh, hello to Facebook Live. Did I say that yet? Hello, Facebook Live, everyone on Facebook Live. But first, I want to say hello to Anna, who is doing our tech today. We always love to see Anna with us, and we all look and sound a lot better when she's here. Hello to Joe and Spice in Baltimore. Good to see you. Hello, Mabel in Massachusetts and your bear. Hello, Becky in BC and Annette and Amy in Atlanta. You're back, so good to see you. Hello, Arlene in Berkeley and Brian and Sheila in Florida. Hello, Deli with your beret and Nancy swimming in Vermont. Hello, Barbara and Susan G. Anna in Durango, Colorado. Wow. And Susan and Harriet. Hello, Carolyn and Goldwyn. Hello, Carolyn, Portland, Oregon. Dan in Vienna. Gary and Suzanne in Ithaca. Hello, Kevin. Thanks for keeping us on track with the number of days that we are singing. Hello, Kathleen in Albuquerque, Bob in Tucson, Simke in Maryland, Bonnie in Boise. Hello, Christiana in Rockville, and Susan in Seattle. Susan and Don in Virgin. I don't know how they pronounce it in Vermont. And Deborah in Kentucky, dancing as always. Hello, Sarah in Texas, and Luda in Victoria. Ruth in Birmingham, and David in upstate New York. Hello, Sharon and Kat in Vermont. And all of the curly tops are here with us again. Hello. Hello, Susan and Fritz in Boise, and Lynn and Cliff in Vermont, and Nancy and your Irish cow. Hello, Jan in Rockville, Maryland. Mwah. Hello, Juana in Tejas. Hello, Sandra and Susan and Steve and Michelle in Silver Spring. Hello, Jim in New York, Andy and Robin in Vermont. Hello, Amanda and Miles. I guess Alex has left. Hello to Michigan. Oh, he's still here. Hello, Martha, Ralph, and Penny. Fred in Vermont, Anne in Nashville, Kate in Charlottesville, and Kathy in Virginia. Hello, Diane and James. So good to see you singing with us here today. Hello, oh, they're skipping around. Hi, Shari in New Hampshire, and Storm with yet another fantastic hat. Hello, Jillian in Colorado, Nicole in Kentucky. So good to see you, my friend. Hello, Kirsten and Carol in Connecticut, and Cricket in Maryland with a beautiful painting behind you. Hello, Janet, my friend in Atlanta, and David in upstate New York. Hello, Dan in Virginia, and Ann in Nashville. Ray and Bronwyn and Dick and Kathy and Victoria. Hello, Martha and Jamie and Loriana, Kachina and Courtney in Vermont. And Joni and Linda and Robert and Lori and Angela and James and Tuki and Sandy and LMG. Kathy and Hindi and Amos and Busy and Phil and Tusi and Linda and Katie and Student Koo and Julie and Jane. People still coming in, so good to see you. Gloria in Minnesota. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Daily Antidote of Song. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you here. Again, I'm Elise. I'm coming into you from Atlanta, Georgia, the birthplace and home place of Dr. Martin Luther King, whose legacy we celebrate today. We are on the ancestral lands of the Muskogee people, and I'm coming here from my farmette in Pine Lake, just outside Atlanta. I'm so happy and excited to start off this beautiful Martin Luther King Jr. celebration week with the astounding, fantastic, beautiful, wonderful Dr. Kim Harris. She is with her mother in Philadelphia. That's where she's coming from. And without further ado, we'll talk more. But without further ado, let's sing with Dr. Harris. Thank you so much. Woo-hoo!
Thank you, and good morning to all. Great to see everybody. And, well, we're going to sing one of the freedom songs from the civil rights movement, but that's kind of the middle version of it, because we're going to sing it using traditional verses from the time of the Underground Railroad and the time of Harriet Tubman and the time of the Black Civil War soldiers. And then we're going to sing a little bit of the way they sang it during the civil rights movement time, and then we're going to add, some verses from our time, because that's how these songs go. So, take a stretch. Make sure you are breathing. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more darkness, no more darkness, no more darkness over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. There'll be glory, there'll be glory, there'll be glory over me, over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more Jim Crow, no more Jim Crow, no more Jim Crow over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free. Black lives matter, oh, Black lives matter. Black lives matter, oh, for me, oh, for me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free. Yes, before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free. One more time. Yes, before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free, to be free.
yes, oh yes, and what a joy to sing harmony with you. Wow, thank you so much. And thank you for all of the, for bringing us a history of the song and then bringing it to today just in the singing of it. You're providing like a history lesson and inspiration to move. So thank you for all of those verses.
You are welcome. So, speaking of history, yes, indeed. Here's just a little bit now. This is one of my favorite books. This one is Sing for Freedom, Story of the Civil Rights Movement Through Song. I know a lot of you have seen this book before. I definitely love to use this one and, of course, all the Rise Up singing books. But here's a little bit about what they say in the chapter where Oh Freedom Is. And they're talking about 1961 and 62 in Albany, Georgia. Speaking of Georgia, right?
Albany.
1962. In the city of Albany in the Black Belt in southwest Georgia, Negroes young and old, working class and professional, college student and clergy are witnessing to the fact that they do not like segregation. 2 weeks before Christmas 1961, over 700 Negro citizens were jailed as a result of the demonstrations at City Hall protesting the jailing of Negro college students who used the bus and train stations on a non-segregated basis. Now, just so you all know, included in those college students, Bernice Johnson Reagan. Of course, back then she was Bernice Johnson, right? So, back to this. They talked about that thousands of Albany Negroes participated in these peaceful demonstrations protesting the refusal of their city government and police force to comply with the new Interstate Commerce Commission's ruling that stated that beginning November 1st, 1961, there could be no more discrimination in interstate transportation. Now, what they say later on in here is that on November the 1st, and for the next 6 weeks, that's 6 weeks, y'all, the Albany police continued to enforce segregation in the bus and train stations and arrested those students who used the white waiting rooms. The federal government took no apparent action to curb this violation, and then the mass demonstrations started. And the last just part that I'll read here, there is more if you get a hold of this book. Today in the Albany bus station and train stations, they are desegregated. But this compliance with the ICC ruling was not brought about by any action of the federal government, but rather by the more than 700 Negroes who spent time in prison as a mass substitute for federal action. We may have to be doing that these days for voting rights, you know. We need some mass substitutes for federal action.
Exactly.
Since the arrest of the original 736 in December 1961, the number of those jailed has risen to more than 1,200. And Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and Reverend Ralph Abernathy have been arrested on 3 different occasions. And more recently, 75 ministers of different faiths from New York City were arrested and jailed in Albany. So, yes, Dr. King was a part of this movement eventually, but it started off with the young people who said, when is the civil rights movement coming to our town? And they asked that again and again. And eventually, Bernice Reagan and her friends said, if the movement's coming, we have to be the movement. We have to bring the movement ourselves. Yes.
And the movement has to have music. A movement without music is not going to live on.
Yes. Well, of course, Bernice Reagan was, a song leader in her father's church. So, music was going to be a part of it. And there's some great stories about, and I think I even told this on here a few months back. She was standing in the front of the church after that initial protest. The police were in the back of the church, so don't be fooled thinking that they wouldn't come into her church, y'all. And she started to sing, over my head I see. Normally they'd sing trouble in the air. And in that moment, she changed the word. I see freedom in the air. So this idea of changing the words, updating the words based on contemporary experience is certainly nothing new, but has been going on since people brought over that idea from their African cultures and context. Had been going on since they changed the words and added codes during the time of Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and the Underground Railroad. You know, at the beginning when we said there'll be darkness over me and then there'll be, glory over me, when they sang things like darkness, they meant the time in slavery. When they sang things like glory, they were talking about when they finally made it to freedom. So, yes, if somebody has a chance to put that in the chat, Sing for Freedom, the story of the civil rights movement through its songs. And it's a great book. I love the stories that they have in there.
There are many wonderful songs being written these days, many of which we're hearing here on the Daily Antidote. But these songs that have this history and that keep shifting and changing and being updated and being contemporary have so much power in the stories that they bring.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do. There were some people that I was presenting for last night, and they were asking, is music still being used? And it's like, yes, music is still being used. I mean, I think they were thinking mostly like in mass protests, but if you want to find out more about that, if you go to information on the Poor People's Campaign on Reverend Barber, coming out of the Moral Mondays, they've got great information about music being used in modern movements. And, Reverend Barber always has somebody with him that is going to be leading singing. Many times it's Yara Allen, who's the song leader along with him. But yeah, so it's fantastic. So I was up on that website. And some of the people that are part of that movement, and I know some people on the line today, they went to Union Theological Seminary, So woohoo, shout out to Union Seminary, which is also where I was lucky enough to get to go to school and do a whole lot of singing going on.
Well, we're going to be doing a lot of wonderful singing this week. Tomorrow we're singing with Shinobe, who's one of the, I think, favorite song leaders here. And then Wednesday with Dan and Claudia Zanes. And Thursday with the fantastic Kathy Bullock, who also hosts often. Friday with Hubby Jenkins, who we sang with this weekend. That was so much fun. And Tom Prasada Rao on Saturday and on Sunday. Ending this week with the amazing, fantastic, powerful Melanie DeMore, from the West Coast, who also does the sticking that is traditional from here on the coast of Georgia and the Sea Islands. So it's going to be an amazing week here. Just to change the topic a tiny bit, I believe, Dr. Harris, that you have a video to share. We want to celebrate, today is Sandy from Tacoma Park's birthday, but there are a lot of January birthdays, and we also want to celebrate the birthday of Dr. King. So can you share a little bit about this?
I will share a little bit of this video. This video I'm also celebrating. I've been here celebrating my mother's 90th birthday, and you'll see her in this video. And the song that's here is one that she wrote. So here's just a little bit of this video for fun.
Happy birthday, we know how old you are. Happy birthday, we know how old you are. Happy birthday, we know how old you are, and we won't get old all by ourselves. Happy birthday, we know how old you are. Happy birthday, we know how old you are. Happy birthday, we know how old you are, and we won't get old all by Now that you're older, you're trying to be younger. And you want to keep it a secret. Happy birthday, we know how old you are. Now, happy birthday, we know how old you are. Happy birthday, we know how old you are. Happy birthday, we know how old you are. And we won't get old all by ourselves.
Oh my goodness. So many times when I do crazy things, I say to people, I come by it honestly.
That is the best. Oh my goodness. We all have to learn that song. I'm going to have to learn that from you. And what is your mother's full name, the composer of this song?
Her full name is Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Ijoy. Dr. Lucille Ijoy. All right.
We always like to give credit when we're teaching songs and singing songs. We always like to give credit and talk about the history of them and so on. So I want to encourage everyone as we learn songs, and if you share them with your communities, remember that they all come from somewhere, and they all have roots and bloom anew when you sing them. So that's wonderful.
Thank you. So let's sing "Oh Freedom" again. How about that? All right.
Let's do that.
All right. So make sure you are warmed up. And be thinking of verses that you might add when you are marching in the streets and encouraging people to vote and working for justice. There might be some verses that you want to add. So here we go. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more darkness, no more darkness, no more darkness over me, over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. There'll be glory, glory, oh, there'll be glory, there'll be glory over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more Jim Crow, no more Jim Crow, no more Jim Crow over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Now, you might want to say something like this. No new Jim Crow. No new Jim Crow. No new Jim Crow over me. See how that works? And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free. Yeah, Yes, before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free one more time. Yes, before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free, to be free. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for singing along. Thank you so much.
beautiful. I think I heard about 365 voice harmonies there. Not sure how many. We have 5 pages, so that's a lot of people. Maybe 125, although some of you are 2 and 3 in a rectangle. Thank you again so much for being with us today, Dr. Kim Harris, for initiating the week celebrating the legacy and the contemporary daily living of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we have an incredible week coming up tomorrow with Chinobe, so hope to see everyone there. I have to say one more thing, and that is on next Monday, a week from today, we are premiering the Daily Antidote of Song commissioned project, Ready or Not. Yes, it's a musical film that we made with artwork from many of you and also from artists around the world. We have artists from, I guess, age 3 to 83 and from many, many countries, India, Italy, Argentina, and on, and most states. So we'll be premiering that. And Anna, can you share the invitation real quick? If that's easy.
Sorry, I don't know if I have that at the moment.
Oh, no worries. I sent it to you by email. No worries. It'll we'll be sending it out to everyone. It'll be in the Daily Antidote email. So no worries about that. Great. So let's all wave goodbye to Facebook Live. Thanks for joining us today. 652 beautiful days of singing together.